Live right now.
Okay, thank you, and welcome to all our viewers. Our board members are all on screen there. I think everybody that's going to participate in our meeting is ready to take off. This is a welcome to a new normal, as we all are accustomed to saying now. I'm excited about this. I think this is the beginning for that we may be able to do our board meetings like this in virtual environments throughout. So I appreciate Chris for all his hard work. I appreciate the work that everybody does behind to get everything set up. First of all, I want to start off by explaining that this meeting has become a special board meeting. And there's a little bit of difference between a special board meeting and a regular board meeting. And I want to outline those changes as before we get started. Uh, the special board meeting comes from the fact that we canceled last week. Actually, we did cancel the meeting, but the health department and our judge did. And we are so thankful to those two uh, people that have been involved in making that uh, recommendation to cancel that meeting. So, us changing that or canceling that regular meeting to another time tonight, that has caused this meeting to become a special board meeting. Which outlines that only those items on the agenda can be dealt with, or talked about, or voted on, or discussed. So I want all the audience to understand that, and I want all our participants to understand that as well. Okay, any questions from anybody before we start into our agenda? Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. We always start all our meetings out with a moment of silence in any way that you choose. And we'll just take a few minutes to just have time to reflect and have a moment of silence. Thank you so much. B is pledge allegiance, so if you will rise with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of
the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible,
liberty,
liberty,
and
justice
justice.
for all.
Thank you. Let the record show that board members are present. D, we do not adopt the agenda. The agenda has been adopted as a special board meeting. Two, Mr. Patrick Alcorn has requested to speak. Mr. Alcorn,
Yes, sir.
you may speak.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As stated, my name is Patrick Alcorn, and I come before this board as a citizen of Garrard County to express my concerns, not only as a citizen, but as a parent of the three children that are enrolled in this school system. It is with great preservation that you ensure that justice and equality are exercised in all forms of decision-making throughout the school system. It's no secret from a citizen or parent's point of view that Garrard County has been a stepping stone for others to advance their careers. We have had a revolving door of employees, from superintendents, teachers, coaches, to say the least. Allow me to remind us that it's never too late to do what is right. With that being said, it brings me to the current situation, or the latest situation. And correct me if I'm in error. This is in reference to the superintendent's selection and the way it went about. Was a committee selected to evaluate the applicants by the board?
Okay, restate your question again, so I want to make sure.
Was a committee selected to evaluate the applicants by the board?
The committee, and I want all board members to jump in with this as well. I'm going to start off. The committee was elected by the staffs, different divisions of the staff, to help the board screen applicants. And that means doing reference checks and never prioritize, but present names to the board in alphabetical order. Board members, you have any comments to that? That is according to law.
Okay. That will suffice. And correct me again, at that point, were the applicants referred to the board?
Applicants were referred to the board, yes.
Okay. Now, it is my understanding that the committee had your complete confidence that they would refer the best applicants available, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I read in the book, to whom much is given, much is required. This committee has labored countless hours doing their due diligence only to have the board reject some of their recommendations. It is at this point that I felt that justice and equality appeared to take a back seat to envy, ill will, malice, and resentment. My desire for this board is that you reconsider how the process of elimination of applicants is done so we as citizens, taxpayers, parents, and the community get the best candidates for our children, the future of Garrett County, so we don't continue to make the same mistake. In my possession, I have a list of names that echo the same sentiments as myself, that have a desire that this board be more transparent to the public. In my humble opinion, there has been a lack of credibility, responsibility, and accountability in our school system way too long. When injustice and social inequality rears its ugly head, our entire community suffers. I beseech you to put away any and all personal vendettas and allow justice and equality to lead you from this day forward. As a concerned citizen from the community, I think it would be only appropriate that the board release the matrix used to select the superintendent's position. It is my heartfelt concern that we take a close look at the candidates and choose the best for our school and community. Reason being, we've had at least 4 superintendents in the past 8 years. So that's on average 2 every 4 years. The board has selected Mr. Fentress, which serves from 2019 to 2020, correct?
Yes.
He is an interim, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Corey Keith from 2017 to 2019, which left under turmoil. And prior to that, Mr. Corey Keith was an interim from 2016 to 2017. And from 2013 to 2016, Mr. Mullins, which to my understanding left under turmoil. And from 2009 to 2013 was Mr. Aldridge was selected. It would appear that the board or the candidates have failed our community. I did read on the district website that all the referred candidates did receive an interview only after the community appeared to voice their concerns. I plead with you, please do not allow our bad history to dictate our promising future. We as a community deserve stability. I thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
Other comments by the board?
Pat, appreciate you sharing your point of view with us, and certainly it is appreciative by all the board members. At the same time, let you know that as a board, we will and expect to do the very best for this community. We're all in the same boat together.
Yes, others? Mr. McQuarrie?
And I'd like to thank you also for your comments, and I take them very seriously. And I think that your charge is accurate and appropriate. We did make a lot of intentional effort to do things the right way, and I hope that you took time to look at the letter that the board loaded onto the district's website. And I hope you looked at those screening rubrics that we used. We developed a rubric to screen applications onto the district's website. We developed an interview guide so that every candidate was reviewed based on the same set of criteria. And so there was a deliberate, intentional effort to be fair in selecting the next superintendent of the district.
And I'd like to conclude by that. Mr. Alcorn, we did the law and we read the law and we asked the screening committee for 3 to 5 names. They presented 6. So we used a matrix to narrow that down to 4. And that's how we got to 4. We hit the middle of the range at 3 to 5. And then at the point of the community asking for more names, I assume, I would hope that would be the direction of the community for more names, not just 1 name or 2 names, but the best candidate that we could have gotten. That's what we were about. That's what the law's about. So we decided then that we would bring it to the board again to make a decision that we would do all the names for the board to reevaluate, and we have done that. And I'm very confident, very sincere when I say this. The law was followed by the letter, and the board is charged with hiring the most qualified that will fit in this position, and that is our job is to do that. Again, and I appreciate you so much because you're well-spoken, you're very intellectual, and you really bring up some good, strong points in fairness and just. And we are all about fairness and just, I assure you.
Okay.
No.
May I have rebut?
Sure, go ahead.
Miss Dr. Connie, is that correct?
You can call me Connie.
Connie?
Yes.
The review process, and Mr. Woods, Chairman, if you will, it is my understanding, and when I asked for more transparency, is that when the candidates applied, I felt like if you really wanted to be more transparent, at that point in time, there should have been a list of candidates based, whether it be in the paper, via website, what have you. That's transparency. When the process of review was taking place, when those candidates were referred, their name should have been public. And yes, you have followed the letter of the law, but it appears that because of the community's voicing their concerns, that you, when I say you, the board collectively backed up and interviewed the additional candidates. Now, with that being said, I think you said there were 6 candidates total, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Well, with 6 candidates, I feel like that it's only fair that you interview all 6 from the beginning. To interview 6 candidates, which you allot 2 hours per interview, is not a substantial amount of time in the grand scheme of things when we are going to hire an individual that is probably going to make the most money in the county. So instead of backing up and saying, let's get them all. I think from the beginning, everyone should have been allotted an opportunity for an interview.
I understand.
Okay.
Time has never been a factor in this process. Our board has worked tirelessly to evaluate candidates, and time has never been a variable. We heard the community, and we heard them well, and we felt like then we needed to look at all the candidates and evaluate them in the same way as the beginning, and we did.
I just like to reiterate the urgency and to make sure that everyone is doing what is best for our school and our community and our children. They are the future. I think we need stability is a must. The community is screaming for us to do better. And it appears that it may be falling on deaf ears, which that's just the feedback that I'm getting. But I know you're doing your due diligence to select the best applicant. In doing so, really consider what has taken place in the past before you make your current decision. We don't want to be back here in a year and a half, 2 years, because Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so opted to leave. We want quality. We want somebody with an outstanding reputation, well qualified, if not overqualified, that is vested, that is willing to be vested or already vested in this community.
Pat, if I might, from the Board of Education, you are again saying things that were on the minds of every member of the Board of Education. We all agreed that we needed longevity. We all agreed that we needed stability. Sometimes we may discuss and differentiate on who might be the best, but all said and done, we've all decided and agreed to it should be in the best interest of the kids of Garrard County, and we all got on the same page. So all the things that you have made mention of, I guarantee you that this Board of Education took that very sincerely.
Okay.
And also,
Mr. Browning, go ahead, Mr. Browning.
okay, and also to be totally transparent, we interviewed 7 candidates. There was 1 that was added.
Okay.
During this process.
And I thank you for your honesty. And that is the type of information that needs to be put out for the community to be aware of. You know, the entire process from start to finish, there should be total transparency, in my personal opinion. Total transparency. If you had a list, I thank you for your time. My hope and prayer and desire is that you do not take this decision lightly, that you sit back, take a deep breath, and evaluate and assess the situation and do what is right.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you, Pat.
May I speak?
Yeah, I've got a couple of board members, Pat. Dr. Lamb.
Mr. Alcorn, I'd like to thank you again for your comments, but I'd also like to encourage you and all other members of the community that are watching tonight to stay involved in what's going on in your schools and in your community. We are here for the children of Garrard County and for the citizens of this county, and the decisions that we make as a board do affect you. And so just like you have spoken in response to hiring the next superintendent of this district, I would hope that you would keep your finger on the pulse of every decision made by this board, and that you'd speak out and ask for the same kind of transparency. So the board does make decisions that affect the lives of our children, and the community does need to be involved in that. All decisions.
Thank you, ma'am. Coach Hurt can vouch for me. I will speak what's on my mind. I have dealt with a previous issue in the school system, and I've never been one to do this, but there's an old adage, if you're not a part of the solution, you're a part of the problem. So I've been guilty. I've sat back and complained, and I've watched, and now I'm just one voice trying to make a difference, trying to enlighten everyone that I come in contact with, the urgency of the utmost importance of decision making in our community.
Thank you. Thank you. Brother Jerry, you had something?
No, that's good. I just want to thank him for coming and hopefully being part of the solution.
You've done a very good job representing yourself and your community. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate you all allowing me to take the time to express my concerns and my issues. I thank you once again on my children's behalf.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patrick.
Thank you.
I've known you for a long time, and I've always known that you're willing to speak your mind, and you're very thoughtful and sincere in what you say. Thank you again.
Okay. Thank you, Pat, Mr. Alcorn. Just to conclude, I think there's one segment there that you asked about transparency. There was a degree of confidentiality that existed at the beginning of this process that we must, by law, keep in confidence of the applicants who applied. That's why that didn't roll out. We at the point, and when we disclosed the names, that we could do that. I hope you understand confidentiality.
I respect that confidentiality. I do.
And I just wanted to make sure we answered all your questions. Okay, we're going to move on. Go ahead. You have a comment. I think you started to say something.
No. I'm satisfied. I think I have expressed myself. I think everyone has understood. I feel like I've made myself abundantly clear. And we hope and pray that the right decision is made for the future of Garrett County.
And I'll assure you that's our goal too as a board. As Mr. Hurd stated, we work very hard to do our job. Okay.
Thank you once again.
I'm going to move on. Our next item is construction projects. Mr. Fentress, go ahead.
You remember that Kevin Sheet from Sherman Carter Barnhart was at our work session. I'm making the recommendation to the board, BG1s for the 3 projects that we discussed. You know that we have a problem at our middle school with some of our outside doors and with the safety that for our children, our students, and faculty, and the people that work in the buildings. Some of those doors can be prized open without a key, jerking on them. So we see that that's been a real problem. We want to get those fixed. The intercom speaker at Garrard Middle School, when you have emergency drills or many other things, you go on the speaker system and broadcast that to everyone all over the building. And some of those are not working properly, and you have to open the door to the halls to be able to hear from the intercom. And when you do that, of course, if there was an intruder in the building, the thing you're supposed to do is keep your door closed. So we need to fix that. And then we talked a good deal about a canopy project at Camp Dick. What I have here that we allow for 4 buses to load and unload. Then I've got a note here, if we need more room later, more bus room later, that we could extend that if that's a wishes, but we're trying with 4 and see how that works and leave an open end to that. So my recommendation is that we progress with these, and if we can get these projects moving, maybe we can move over the summertime. We can get quite a bit of that done, and maybe by the time school starts, I know projects take a lot longer than you normally would think, but we can be ready to move on those. So that's my recommendation.
Okay. You've heard the recommendation of the superintendent, and we're going to take these one at a time. What the recommendation is to approve BG1s to start our projects. The number one BG to approve is the outside door project at Garrard County Middle School. Do I have a motion to approve that BG1?
I move to approve.
I did. Who was the one? Mr.
Hurd.
Hurd. Mr. Hurd made the motion.
I'll second the motion.
Who was the second? Mr. McQuarrie. I'm having a little difficulty picking up your. You're muffled right there. So that's something we'll probably need to improve on. Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Hurd to approve BG1 at the outdoor project at the middle school, and second by Brother Jerry. Do we have other discussion from the board? If not, we'll have a roll call on this one. So we'll start up on as the screen is. Dr. Lamb? Say yes or no.
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Brother Jerry?
Yes.
Mr. McQuarrie?
Yes.
All were in favor. Number 2 is to approve a BG1 for the intercom speaker project at Garrard County Middle School. I think Mr. Fentress has explained that well. Do I have a motion to approve the BG1?
I make that motion.
Mr. McQuarrie makes the motion.
I'll second the motion.
Brother Jerry seconds it. Do we have further discussions, questions? If not, we'll have roll call. Dr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Brother Jerry?
Yes.
Mr. McQuarrie?
Yes.
5-0 was the vote. Number 3 is the canopy project at Camp Dick. That's to approve the BG1 canopy project to load and unload at Camp Dick. Do I have a motion to approve that BG1?
I so move.
So Jerry makes the motion. And do I have a second? Second by Mr. Hurd. Further discussion, questions, comments? If not, we'll proceed to vote. Dr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd? Yes. Brother Jerry?
Yes.
Mr. McQuarrie?
Yes.
Vote 5-0.
Okay. Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I just saw Liz Irwin.
I was coming back to her. Thank you for, she was to speak. She wasn't on my agenda, and
well, she's not, but he had said earlier that she had also, when Pat was asking who else, and he said Liz Irwin had signed up to speak.
I was going to come back to Chris after I saw that because I had wrote that.
Okay, all right.
Chris, is Ms. Irwin okay and all the guidelines set forth by this board to speak? I mean, she's on the agenda before tonight, right? Okay. That's all I needed to know. Okay, Ms. Irvin, are you there? Ms. Irvin? She's
yes,
not.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
we were going to put you on you wasn't on our agenda. That's the reason I need to clarify that you had signed up before this meeting, okay?
Okay, that's fine. I won't take very long. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak on behalf of my school, Paintless Elementary. I just wanted to leave you with a couple of points to keep in mind when you get to the part on the agenda when you approve the final staffing allocations. First, I want to be sure that you know that what you are approving, if you were to approve the tentative allocation from the last meeting. When you apply the staffing formula to my projected enrollment, which my projected enrollment is 284, divided by 24, you will see 2.2 teachers allotted to second grade, third grade, and fourth grade. So you can see that on your sheet if you're looking at the tentative allocation sheet. So that 0.2 means that 2 primary grade levels will be over caps unless I split grade levels, which we don't hardly ever do because that's not good for kids. Or if I pull in a Title I teacher, you have whose office is in the computer lab, but who pulls children from all over the school. And if I do this, this is going to pull intervention away from children in a time of need in our history when students will need it the most. Second, fairness. I just wanted you to put this in your mind that fairness doesn't mean the same. Fairness needs to be based on equity, not equality. Granting Paint Lick the appropriate staffing based on our need doesn't mean that all schools will have to get another teacher. This argument doesn't hold up in light of other decisions the board has made. Should the high school not receive an ROTC teacher because the middle school might want one too, and there's not the money this year for that in the budget? I don't think that's the case. Should LES not get the preschool transportation they need because our school would have to have that too? Of course not. I wouldn't be asking for that. We are all different schools with different needs. I showed you the data of my students. I know some teachers have called you and showed you the data and why we need the teacher. I'm asking you to please base your decision on equity, not equality. And just one final thought, I'm asking you to delay cutting the teacher just for 1 year. Just have mercy on us for 1 year. If I have a large kindergarten class in 2021, I would have to hire a new teacher the following year if we lost one this year, because my allocation would have to go back to 13. In the midst of a pandemic is not the time to cut teachers. There is money in the budget to keep allocation at 13 for this year, this coming year for 2021. If my kindergarten numbers are low for next year, then cut the teacher for 21-22. I promise you I will not fight it then. The high need class that you've heard so much about will be in the 4th grade by then, and they will not need the small group instruction for reading and math that is needed in primary. Thank you all so much for giving me the opportunity to share with you again, and thank you for
Thank
Thank
you.
you for sharing.
Thank you.
Board members, you have any comments to that? Anything anyone want to say? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Irvin.
Thank you, sir.
Well spoken.
Thank you.
4 is our treasurer's report. Stacy, Ms. Coffey.
Yes, sir. I'm going to try to present this on the screen. Okay, do you all see it?
Yeah, can you blow it up?
No. I'm sorry, but it's what you all had copies in your packet. The ending cash balance at March 31st was $6,624,189, and that is made up of the 10 funds that you see on your screen. General fund is a primary operating fund, and it had a balance of around $5 million. Through the end of March, year-to-date receipts totaled $12.7 million, while year-to-date expenditures totaled $11, which resulted in a positive net balance of $1.7 million. Our special revenue fund accounts for our grants. There is a negative balance of $244,000, and that is because we are awaiting federal reimbursements, and this is typical in this type of fund. Our district activity fund accounts for monies that are legally restricted for our schools. and this fund had a balance of $168,000. Our capital outlay fund accounts for our SEEK capital outlay allotment, and these funds can be used for construction projects and debt service. This fund has a balance of $125,000, and we will receive an additional $112,000 by the end of the fiscal year. Our building fund accounts for our SEEK nickel allotments. These funds can be used for building projects and debt service payments. This fund has a balance of $81,000, and we will receive an additional $466,000 by the end of the fiscal year. Our construction fund accounts for the cost of construction, and this fund had a balance of $385,000. Debt service is used to pay principal and interest on our debt service, and year-to-date payments have totaled $2.1 million. Our food service fund accounts for the food service activity of the district, and this fund had a balance of $985,000. Our community education fund accounts for community education programs of the district, and this fund had a balance of $7,000. And lastly, our trust fund accounts for legally restricted scholarship, and this fund had a balance of $78,000. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't. Board members, do you all have anything you want to ask Ms. Coffey? I can't see. Can we go back? Yeah, there we go. We're getting ready to approve the treasurer's report. I can get all the board members back up where I can see. Okay. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report as presented? Who was that, Brother Jerry?
Yes, I heard another voice too, but.
Okay, who made a second? Anybody make a second to the treasurer's report?
Second.
Mr. Hurd. Do we have any questions, other comments for Ms. Coffey before we vote? If not, we're ready to vote. Dr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Brother Jerry?
Yes.
Mr. McQuarrie?
Yes.
Okay, superintendent report.
The first thing I'd like to say is this district is very fortunate to have Stacy as your treasurer. This is the 12th interim I've done in a superintendent's position. One, I went in January and they told us we didn't have enough money to make payroll that month. So that kind of gets your attention. But that's not the case here. You've got a very strong candidate, a very strong person watching over your money. On our superintendent's report, I've got on the agenda that you have in front of you, hopefully board members, that we need to leave out, omit item number 15. That's all I have on the superintendent's report.
Okay. Our next item 6, approve board minutes. A is to approve the working session board meeting on March the 16th, approve the regular board meeting on March the 19th, approve the board minutes of the special call board meeting on March the 31st. I'm going to entertain one motion for all three unless we have specific changes to any of the three. Have we had time to read them and to approve all at once?
I'm good.
Okay, Brother Jerry makes the motion to approve all three.
Second.
Second by Mr. McQuarrie. Ready for vote? Dr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Brother Jerry?
Yes.
And Mr. McQuarrie?
Yes.
5-0. Okay. 7 is the second reading of the National Board Teacher Certification Policy.
We had quite a discussion on this when the first time, and for a policy to become firm and permanent, you need a second reading. I'll read that to you. You've probably read it before, but all applicants shall complete the program and then submit their expenses to the board for reimbursement. The board shall reimburse 1/2 of expenses with the limit of no more than $950.
Do I have a motion to approve the second reading?
I make that motion.
Mr. Hurt makes the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. McQuarrie. Other discussions or questions? We're ready for vote. Dr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Hurt?
Yes.
Brother Jerry?
Yes.
And Mr. McQuarrie?
Yes.
5-0. Okay. 8 is to the auditors. Mr. Fentress?
I'll be glad to speak to that, but Stacy, if you're still there, you want to tell us a little bit about the auditor? We had 3 bids, correct?
Yes, that is correct. We had 3 bids. One with our former auditor that I believe we've had 4 years. And I know that the state recommends that we switch auditors every so many years. I know that the one that we have recommended is the lowest quote that we received.
Thank you. Mr. Superintendent, you are recommending Patrick and Associates?
Yes, they're the lowest bid. They're a good firm. No one is upset with the firm that we had before. They're a very good firm. White does many audits for schools and many other audits. But as Stacy said, it's recommended we kind of pass that around and have somebody look at our work. Never hurts to have somebody new look at what you're doing. Sometimes they might see something that someone else hadn't seen before. So I think it is a good direction that the state gives us to change every once in a while. Let somebody else look at it.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion to approve the Patrick and Associates LLC as our new auditor?
I make the motion.
Mr. McQuarrie makes the motion. And do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hurt.
Mr. Hurt.
Do we have any further discussions or questions or debate on this item? Okay, we're ready to vote. Dr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Hurt?
Yes.
Brother Jerry?
Yes.
And Mr. McQuarrie?
Yes.
Vote 5-0. 9 is the school day student accident insurance. Mr. Fentress.
This company has been in Roberts Insurance out of Richmond, Kentucky. Has been doing this for many, many, many years. And I don't know how many school districts they have, but many districts. And we've had them for several years. They're recommending we use Zurich. That's the same group that we used last year. They're a few dollars lower, not very much, but a little bit lower than the others. So I would recommend that we stay with them. Again, they're a good firm. Roberts Insurance, a good firm.
You've heard the recommendation from our superintendent to stay with Roberts Insurance under the umbrella of the Zurich American Insurance at $69,514.20. The quote comes in, like Mr. Fender said, a small amount lower than last year. So we're doing a good job with our student athletes and our students throughout our school day. So do I have a motion to approve the Roberts Insurance?
I make the motion.
Mr. McQuarrie makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I'm gonna take Brother Terry on that one. Brother Terry, seconds. Do I have any other questions, comments by the board on this issue? If not, we're ready to vote. Dr. Lamb?
Yes.
Byrd,
Yes.
Brother Jerry,
Yes.
and Mr. McQuarrie.
Yes.
All were in favor, 5-0. 10 is eliminate a full-time classified position paid out of Title I at Paint Lick and create a 5.5 one-half-time certified position at Paint Lick Elementary paid out of the Title I fund. Mr. Fentress, do you have anything on that?
Well, the comment I would have is Caleb Grisham does a great job as our director of our title programs or federal direct programs. He's worked here with principals and making recommendations, and depending on where our kids are, what they need, you're always going to have something slopping around. But right here, they're eliminating the full time and out of Title I and Paint Lick and create a 5/10, one half-time certified. So you're swapping a a full-time classified for a half-time certified. So the money's about even.
Okay. You've heard the recommendation. Do I have a motion to entertain this full-time classified or eliminate the full-time classified position to create a 0.5 certified position?
So moved.
So Jerry makes the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Hurt makes the second. Do I have any questions, comments, anything? Ms. Irvin, I see you there. Do you have anything on that? Do you want to share with our audience or our board? I think we went through that on a working session in detail.
I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any. It's just a matter of shifting some funds around.
I don't think they have any questions, so we'll proceed to vote. Dr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Brother Jerry?
Yes.
And Mr. McQuarrie?
Yes.
Vote 5-0. Okay, thank you, Ms. Irvin. Number 11 is eliminate a $5,000 stipend that we paid the Medicaid coordinator. Mr. Fentress?
We got started on that late this time, and we had a lady that did that for us. We're going to maybe go a different route with that, or look at different opportunities and alternatives for next year. So we want to eliminate that at this time.
You've heard a recommendation. Do I have a motion to eliminate the stipend of $5,000 for a Medicaid coordinator?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. McQuarrie makes the motion. And do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hurd. Other questions? We'll proceed to vote. Dr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Brother Jerry?
Yes.
And Mr. McQuarrie?
Yes.
5-0. 12 is revise the certified evaluation plan for 2019-2020 for the school year modifications for the 2019-2020 school year. Mr. Fentress?
This all involves a school getting turned out on March the 12th, and we need to revise the way we were evaluating. You know, we had a long time to go in school, so we're trying to redo this where we can do the best job we can with teachers not in the building nearly as much. So this is a plan that our staff has come up with to meet this evaluation for this school year.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the revised certified evaluation plan?
So moved.
Brother Jerry makes the motion. And do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hurd. Further discussion, questions? We'll proceed to vote. Dr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Brother Jerry,
Yes.
and Mr. McQuarrie.
Yes.
5-0. 13 is the final staffing allocations. Mr. Fentress.
You've seen this several times before this year. Our final staffing allocation recommendation worksheet is recommended there based on student enrollment. We'd eliminate one teaching position at Camp Dick, eliminate one teaching position at Paint Lick, and add a teaching position at Garrard Middle School and at Lancaster Elementary. And the board also during this time has voted to add an ROTC position at the high school.
You've heard the recommendation from our superintendent to approve the final staffing allocations. Do I have a motion to approve that?
I'll make a motion.
Let me, and do I have a second? Okay, no second. Staffing allocations then will die at this point. Do I have any motion on the floor to on pertaining to staffing allocations or revised? We can still act, we can act upon this because this is the item. As you heard from Ms. Urban earlier, or any other comments that's been made since the working session. Does anyone want to make a motion to add the Paint Lick teacher or whatever?
Oh, I was getting ready to.
Okay.
If I could, I would like to make a motion that we adopt the staffing allocation with the exception of Paint Lick Elementary. And as Ms. Irwin has shared with us, if at least just for 1 year, and make that for 1 year for Paint Lick to keep that teaching position.
Okay, Brother Jerry's made a motion to adopt the staffing allocations with an addition of one position at Paint Lick Elementary for 1 year. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Second by Mr. McQuarrie. Further discussion or comments? If not, we'll proceed to vote. Dr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Brother Jerry?
Yes.
And Mr. McQuarrie?
Yes.
5-0. Okay, 14 is the preschool bus routes. I'm not sure. Compton, are you out there?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Would you explain what we have on the agenda here? We have a preschool bus routes, and then there's a great explanation of what we're doing with that. So if you'll talk to us, so we'll know.
Yes, sir. I did send an email out to all the board members. My email is the board agenda, so all the specifics are on the agenda and in the email you received. As we know, we made a late decision in adopting a policy to add transportation. That was last July of 2019, and that put us just a month away from the first day of preschool starting. So we also know that most caregivers already made other arrangements. By doing that, we also misadvertised midday transportation when we had our mass meetings in May, June, and July of 2019.
Are you all understanding her? I can't. It's garbled.
Wendy, can you slow down just a little bit? Because I'm like Brother Jerry. I just can hear about half what you're saying there. Start.
Let me see if I can switch.
It's the same
I'm
thing.
going to try to switch to my phone.
Not gonna get her.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Hold on. I'm
We
going
got
to
an
use
echo.
my phone. Now you shouldn't have an echo now, do you?
No.
Okay, I'm going to use my phone. That way it's a lot clearer apparently than my laptop. Shall I start over?
Yes, please.
Please.
Okay. Let's go back. So we know the board approved preschool midday transportation late in the game, which was July 21st, 2019 at the board meeting. Great decision. However, we also know that caregivers already made other arrangements because preschool actually started just a month after that. Since we did not advertise midday transportation earlier, we also missed some preschoolers when we were doing our mass screenings in May, June, and July of 2019. Now, due to our state of emergency, we're still going to have a lot of variables that causes it's hard to make a good decision when we don't have true factual data. But with our state of emergency, it will now cause us to have late screenings, which we are still figuring out, which also means late eligibility and enrollment for preschoolers. Now, even with the late decision of midday transportation last year, we do have 66% of our preschoolers riding midday transportation. When we look at how much it costs us annually, about $130,000, and I know Ms. Stacy did well in figuring that out, and we have 68 preschoolers riding the midday bus. If all the referrals placed, that's $14.93 a day to transport those 68 preschoolers per preschooler. You also received the kindergarten readiness scores from actually the beginning of this year. It was 4/19/20. So you see the need there. You also know, we all know, research-based, parents will tell you, our veteran preschool teachers will tell you how important early intervention is. And we cannot put a numerical value on its worth. The other is we also know if they attend preschool, if we can get them there and midday transportation helps, it lowers retention rates in the future. Retention rates are double the cost for students. We also know that preschool pays for itself. You will see less retention of students. You will see more graduate. We also know, I think it's about, it estimates, according to the research, estimates of returns on investment in preschool range from the modest $2 every $1 invested when examined just a few years after preschool. And if you look through adulthood, it's $17 for every $1 invested. So that's what I'm recommending, is that we keep midday transportation, because our goal with more Head Start support for 21-22 is to go full day. So we are looking at, I hope, just one more year of providing midday transportation.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any other comments before we proceed in this?
I do not.
We have midday transportation at the moment, at the present, so there's nothing that we're going to do to cut it. But this was great information. I know the board has a genuine concern about, with your data, I think you are telling us that there will be an increased participation occur. Is that correct?
We hope there will be more participation, yes, but then again, because of our state of emergency, I can't guarantee anything. We were going to try our hardest. I've already talked to the newspaper. I've already had a PLC with the preschool teachers, our related service providers today, to see how we can advertise all this, if we continue midday. And we've got some ideas, and we're going to push hard.
The other comments by our board members?
So Wendy, what you're saying is, and I'm kind of confused, because when at first I thought there was going to be a recommendation to take away all the midday bus routes except Lancaster Elementary, and then all 5 of them that that cost approximately $130,000. Then I've got communication from you that said that we needed this midday bus route, and you just shared the figures about $14 and something per student that it would cost to
Yes.
transfer 68 students.
Yes, sir.
And
It is so hard to, usually you have data, numbers, in order to make a quick decision that you hope's a good one based on data. Our data has too many variables to do that for all the reasons I listed. Now, I personally do not recommend just keeping Lancaster transportation only. You know, if we were to do that, we need to do all schools, not just one.
So
So
you,
my recommendation is to keep it this next year.
okay, this requires no action given. So we can move on, and we appreciate your work with that.
Thank you.
You mentioned that you're going to study full day, possibly full day, and for like.
Yes, sir. We're going to visit a couple other districts too to see how they're doing it.
Okay.
And Mr. Fentress has given us some good recommendations as well.
Very good. Okay, we'll proceed to item 16, renew the copier contract with Rico for 1 year.
Chris, can you come on? You have those figures? If we've got a great contract per copy, per cost per copy. This is in front of you. $601, I think is what 600, just barely going up.
I'm not on.
Less than half a cent.
It's less than half of it's 5/100ths of a cent for black and white, and I think 5/10ths of a cent for color. Long story short, it goes up just, and that was part of the renewal. It's still a great price we've been saving versus the contracts we had before. We've saved tens of thousands of dollars a year, so going up by a little bit shouldn't really affect anybody's budget. They've all been staying well under their numbers anyway, so what's that? No, sorry. So that would be my recommendation. And then next year we'll go around and do another full RFP like we did the first time, or not the first time, but like I did the last time, and hopefully save even more money.
If you go to Lexington and go to an office supply and get some copy something for you, and they charge you 10 cents a copy, now you know how much they're making on that.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the Rico copier contract?
I'll make the motion.
Brother Jerry, was that you?
that was Mike.
Mike, Mr. McQuarrie makes the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Brother Jerry makes a second. Other questions, comments? We're ready to vote. Dr. Lamb,
Yes.
Mr. Hurd,
Yes.
Brother Jerry,
Yes.
and Mr. McQuarrie.
Yes.
5-0. Next item is to create an employee specialist in the special ed program. Mr.
I hope Wendy's still on too, but this is,
Yes.
We're going to give her 15 extra days. We're not making a whole new position out of this. We're adding 15 days to one of our instructional assistants, is my understanding, for this position. Wendy, what can you tell me about that?
The position already exists. We simply are asking to change the title to make it an appropriate title and an appropriate job description. It's called an employee specialist. This program is with the Office of Vocational Rehab for the state. We get reimbursed for actually helping students with transitional instruction, such as working on resume, practicing interviews, getting them jobs, whatever is needed for after high school for them to be successful. And we can bill $35 an hour. As of December 31st, 2019, we have brought in over $41,000 from this program to the school district. So the salary, which is an instructional assistant salary, comes from that money we're bringing in from the OVR program. So I'm just asking that we extend the days as well, because we have beginning of the year and end of the year reports we have to get in. And we've also got trainings that are only in the summer.
How much do we pay, approximately how much do we pay this person?
This is an instructional assistant position, so it starts off around $10.89 an hour. If we're looking at a first year instructional assistant level 1, increasing 15 days would be an increase of $1,553.49 for the year. And
So
we brought in $41,000 in December. Excuse me?
The total salary approximately, you might not know exactly, how much is it?
Let's see. With fringes, if they take out all the medical, etc., it's around $18,000. Otherwise, if I remember correctly, Stacy might be able to help me offhand while I'm looking for it. Stacy, do you remember offhand instructional level 1?
You were correct on the 18,000 with fringes.
Okay. Good.
18,000, bringing in how much?
Yeah, 18,000. No, we're bringing in 41,000 from the program. That's extra money to the district.
Can we hire 2 of them?
We'll talk about that next year.
Oh, man.
Okay, I have the job description in front of me. I think all board members have it in their packet. This person will be at the high school.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, you've heard the data presented and the recommendation given. Do I have a motion to create the employment specialist instructional assistant for the high school? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Brother Jerry makes the motion, and do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hurd makes the second. Do I have further discussion? Any comments by the board? All in favor? We're proceeding. Dr. Graham?
Yes.
Brother Jerry?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
You're fine. Brother Jerry, you said yes, and Mr. Hurd
Yes.
and Mr. McQuarrie.
Yes.
5-0.
Did we skip one there?
No. We're going to 18, eliminating 2 instructional assistant positions at Paint Lake Elementary and 1 special assistant position at Lancaster
Yeah,
Elementary.
you're on time.
Okay, Mr. Fentress, do you have any?
We'll come back to Wendy.
That's fine.
Wendy.
The 2 instructional assistants at Paint Lick, one is in the moderate to severe disabled setting, and one is in the highly structured program setting. The other instructional position at Lancaster Elementary is in the moderate to severe disabled room. This is simply based on numbers and needs. It's just our needs are shifting elsewhere at right now, and I'm just readjusting and shifting things around.
I might add, on some of these positions like this, if we get into the next school year, I'm sure that some of that may vary, and we may have issues that we need more help with. So these numbers are kind of floating sometimes.
Yes,
We'll
sir.
bring them back to you.
Okay, I think we're ready to proceed to vote on the recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I make the motion.
Mr. McQuarrie makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hurt, seconds. Questions by the board? We'll proceed to vote. Dr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Hurt?
Yes.
Brother Jerry?
Yes.
And Mr. McQuarrie?
Yes.
5-0. 19 is to add a 0.5 special education teaching position at Garrard County High School. Mr. Fentress?
Again, that's based on our needs. Wendy, anything special about that?
Yes, we have an extraordinary amount of freshmen with exceptional needs coming to the high school this coming school year. That's 28, and we only have 15 seniors leaving. So it does present a need. I don't feel like we need a full-time position there. However, this position, the 0.5 at Garrard County High School, can be tied to the 0.5 special ed position we have at middle school. Therefore, we'd have a full-time special ed teacher split between both those schools.
Do I have a motion to approve or to add this 0.5 special ed teaching position at Garrard County High School?
So moved.
Mr. Hurt makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. McQuarrie? Questions? We'll proceed to vote. Dr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Hurt?
Yes.
Brother Jerry?
Yes.
And Mr. McQuarrie?
Yes.
Motion passed 5-0. The next is amend the 2019-2020 school calendar. That's this year.
Mrs. Hart's on the line, and she's going to talk with us a little bit about that, but I want to remind you that last week the governor spoke to us, and this is old news, of course, but we will have no more in-class instructions in public schools in Kentucky this school year. So this has certainly been a unique, I guess that's a good word to use, year for school business. I want to commend the staff, especially our bus drivers and cooks, and feeding enormous amounts of students each day, and teachers that are working with the technology of sending the lessons back and forth, and also copying on paper of the ones that live in areas where we're not getting good reception technology wise. It's really been a great effort, and everyone deserves a great compliment about how hard everybody's worked. I heard a dad say the other day that he had been thinking about homeschooling his children, but after this, he wasn't going to think about that anymore. So I think you kind of appreciate teachers a little more. So, Ms. Hart, are you available?
I am. I'm here. So, as of March 12th, we had completed 126 days of school at 385 minutes per day. They took away the requirement to complete our classes in 170 days. They said, we just want you to get to the required 1,062 hours of instruction. Each NTI day this year is going to count as a full 7 hours, so 420 minutes. So when I did all the math, that means we would complete this school year on March 12th. We still have to have our teachers complete their 186 contracted days. So that means teachers would complete whatever the principals put in place for them through May 27th. So that would get us all completed for the school year.
I misunderstood you, but it's May 12th. Did you say May 12th?
Yes, May 12th for students, and May 27th for teachers.
And that would mean we did 37 NTI days this year.
Ms. Hart,
Yes, sir.
I noticed that the adjusted calendar, I think this was originally with us, as the first day for students on August the 14th.
Correct.
Have you heard anything about the possibility of pushing that back to September?
For the next school year, last time that we had a conference call with Governor Bashir, he said that he cannot predict the future at this time. So they're not giving us information. He said that is a possibility to have some plan Bs on the back burner, which I've already started working on.
Okay.
I'm hoping that we'll get some information by June that will tell us, what to prepare for. But right now I'm hopeful that we will keep our current calendar and that hopefully we will be on some sort of normal schedule by then, but we just don't know at this point.
Okay.
Any other questions for me?
I just got a comment on, I know there's a lot of senior parents out there that, and I'm just going to bring that up at this time, Ms. Hart and other board members or other staff that's listening. I know we're under the constraints of what the governor tells us, but I know that's a big concern about graduation. And if you can shed some light to our parents that are maybe listening or has a very concern about that.
Well, I know that's been a concern of Mr. Anderson since this all started, and something that he's talked about a lot, and I know he's on here, so feel free to chime in because I don't want to misspeak. But I know that he put together a committee and met with some seniors and some teachers and other employees, and he is coming up with a plan. I know that he will do some sort of graduation ceremony, but I don't know if we have that figured out exactly what it's going to look like just yet. But we definitely want to honor those seniors, and we want their families to have the opportunity to celebrate them and see them honored for all their hard work. But we just don't know yet how to accomplish that with the current situation. But we most certainly want to do that, and we're proud of all of them.
Very much. So I take that if whatever plan that comes within law and all that, May 12th is somewhere in that vicinity, we might encourage or tell our parents and our graduates that something of some sort of ceremony may occur.
Yes, I don't know the exact date, but they will finish all their instruction on May 12th. So somewhere that date or after, we will do something for them.
May I interject, Board Chairman?
Dr. Lamb?
We got an email today from the KSBA, and it asked all board members to complete a poll, and they had graduation ceremony options listed for us to choose from. And one was a drive-through graduation, and one was a virtual ceremony or a virtual graduation. One was to do nothing until June or July, I think. And one was to come back in August, I believe, and do something. But we did, as board members, have an opportunity today to express our interest in what we would like to do. And so a drive-through graduation, I believe, is what I chose because I'd heard that conversation through social media and from parents. But I know that folks are looking at that, trying to decide how to best honor our seniors.
And that all those options were mentioned by Governor Bashir, and I know that those are all options that Mr. Anderson and his team are looking at for sure.
Very good. Okay, let's proceed to amend the calendar as given. Do I have a motion to amend this year's calendar as presented by Ms. Hart?
Make the motion.
Mr. McQuarrie makes the motion. And do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hurd. Other questions by our board? Any comments? Proceed to vote. Dr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Brother Jerry?
Yes.
And Mr. McQuarrie?
Yes.
All were in favor. Last is to adjourn. Do I have a motion?
Brother,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
Before we do, is Kristen online?
I'm sorry.
I see Kristen Roseberry. Is she online?
I didn't see her name.
Oh, I see her name.
It's up there, but I don't, yes, she's
Oh.
there.
Here,
Hey,
I'm here, Jerry. Hey.
what kind of flyers was that you left for us? I thought they came from you.
No, I think it came from Miss Carson.
Oh, I'm sorry. Forgive me.
Middle school. It came from
Oh,
Carson.
middle school. Okay, I just wondered what kind they were.
Mr. Chairman, do you mind if I make a quick comment?
Who was that?
This is Scott Boland.
Scott Bowden, yes, go ahead.
I was kind of taken off guard on the allocation part and wasn't expecting that. But we can talk about it in May. But from our standpoint, from CDR, we were kind of from the understanding that, you know, it was something that was going to be done for both schools. So it is something that's tough for us to see us be cut a teacher when someone else was not. So obviously, I know this is final allocations; things could be added later. But just for us, I think that is something that definitely needed to be said.
Okay, thank you. We had a motion. Did we have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, that's what I wanted. Brother Jerry makes the motion and second by, have a second?
Second.
By Mr. Hurd. All in favor? Roll call. Dr. Lamb?
Yes.
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Brother Jerry?
Yes.
And Mr. McQuarrie? Mr. McQuarrie, you have a vote?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we voted 5-0 to adjourn. Thank you, everybody.
History will.
Tonight, it went well.